Hey there, welcome back to my garden. My name is Lacey and I'm gardening here in Western Oregon Zone 8B. And today I have a very simple project. All I'm doing is moving out an evergreen conifer from a container that I have here on my side patio and planting in a new one. So right now I have a Rainbow's End, Picea glauca, Rainbow's End, and it is a beautiful tree. Mine is struggling. I think it needs more sun, it needs more water. It needs to be out of this container. I need to move it out in the landscape somewhere. And I also wanted something with a little bit more of a green undertone, less blue, more green. This was a suggestion from one of you guys that you thought that this would be a good idea too. And you also suggested because of the container shape that I really should get this evergreen out of the container before the root ball got too big and made it really difficult to get out of it. So let me show you the container and the plants that we'll be working with. Also, in addition to that, I am just going to go up on our front porch really quick and plant in 2 more plants into those containers that we just planted up the other day. And I know if you were with me when we did that, you're thinking, how are you going to fit more? Because they are very full. But I recognize that I needed a little bit more of a trailing element on the center of the containers. So you'll see that when we get up there. But those are basically the 2 things that we're going to do today, moving the evergreen out and also planting in the 2 trailing plants in the front containers. So here is the Picea glauca Rainbow's End. You can see just a little hint of new growth that this plant gets on it. This is kind of the, I guess, trademark of this tree is that in the summer it actually flushes out with a second flush of new growth. Mine did not do that very much. Because it's really not happy in this container. It's a pretty large container here, and I've tried to really stay on top of watering it, but it was struggling. And honestly, when I got it, it wasn't doing the best. I got it for 50% off when I did purchase it last December, November-ish. And the back side of it was really struggling. And I thought, well, I'll just get it anyways because it'll be next to this wall. It shouldn't matter. I won't hardly even see that. But I don't know. It's just, I'm ready for a change here. I'm ready for something to be looking a little bit more fresh in this spot. Here's what we're going to be replacing it with. I picked this guy up just the other day. I was at the Chicks Night Out event at Bauman's Farm out in Jervis, and they had 50% off all of their conifers, and I knew I wanted to look for one for this spot. And I saw this guy, and I just thought it would be absolutely perfect. So this one is, well, let me show you the tag so you can see the actual appropriate and correct name for it. So Cypress obtusa Kosteri, it's a Hinoki Cypress. And the interesting thing about this plant is that it is typically a little bit more roundish. It's usually about, at maturity, about 4 feet wide by 6 feet tall, super, super slow growing. As you can see this one, it's actually already at about 4 feet and it's very, very narrow. So I think that when they were growing it on and they were pruning it, they were working at keeping it a bit more narrow. You can see that cut right there. And I was noticing that a few other spots around it as well, like right there. So I think it was being trained to be a little bit more on the narrow side, which I appreciate. It's perfect for what I need. You can see this one does have some sun scald on it. This is one of an evergreen that does do better with a little bit of shade. So that's why I was thinking it'd be perfect for in this spot that's on my patio because it gets very little sun here. But you can see it does have some of that sun scald from too much sun. Again, this will be against the wall. I think it'll be just fine. It'll bounce back. I'm not sure. I'll have to look up what I anticipate these to do. Maybe it'll shed these. I'm not really exactly sure what it'll do. But consequently, I was able to get 70% off of this guy, which was an incredible, incredible deal to find a conifer, evergreen conifer that is that inexpensive and that perfect for a spot. I just love the branching habit of this guy, kind of spreading a little bit out, having the kind of the empty space, this negative space inside here. It just adds so much more dimension versus this Picea glauca that is a lot more dense, you know, just dense, triangular, cute in its own right, but I was really, really super drawn to this guy. So I'm just going to start by getting out the spruce from the container. I think I'm just going to actually put it into a large nursery can for right now. It's literally put on hardly any growth at all, so I don't anticipate that the root ball has gotten much bigger than it was when I planted it. So I think I should be able to pop it out fairly easily, put it into a nursery can, and then I'm just going to set it someplace in my garden where it can get rainwater all fall and winter long. and see if it kind of pushes some new growth in the spring. And I don't know, I'm not exactly sure where I will put it. This one does stay small as well. It's only a says 2 foot wide by 4 feet tall also, just a little petite thing. So yeah, I could probably tuck it in, I don't know, a number of different places maybe, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm not loving the look of it right now, so it's hard to want to put it into the garden space, but I also don't really want to get rid of it. So first things first, I'm just going to get this guy out and then plant in the tree. But actually first, I think I want to go up onto the front porch and I want to just get the trailing plant into these containers. I'll take you guys up there and show you what I'm talking about. Silly kitty. Okay, so we're coming up here onto our front porch. And these are the containers that we just planted up the other day. And it was so much fun. I'm just absolutely loving them. I'm loving the combination still. But one thing I was noticing that this is kind of a little bit of a trailer. It's kind of flowing over the side a little bit, but I was thinking I really wanted to tuck something in right here to just gently flow over the center of the container. I obviously can't have something that's too wide and bulky because this is, you know, where we walk down from the front door down the front steps. So I can't have anything sticking out too far. Even so, like this, I didn't really want to do, you know, something like the wire vine you can see as it kind of reaches out. So when I was at the nursery the other day, I saw this vinca, which is an evergreen for us, although it also flowers. So that's lovely. This variety is this color right here. Just a really sweet purple. I think these guys they need some, oh yeah, they definitely need some water. Let me show you the tag on here though. So Vinca periwinkle, or wine periwinkle, Vinca minor. This is the variety here. It also likes shade, so I think that'll be good that it's just kind of tucked in on the underside of the container right there. And yeah, I'll just trail out of the side, doesn't get very high at all. Just has that trailing habit with, generally, when it's not so dry, a very pretty kind of shiny leaf. So I actually, you know what, I might soak these in some water really quick while we go plant the trees, and then we'll come back and do these because I need to be able to squash the root balls down, and I can't very well do that right now. So let me go get something to put these in to soak them so they get really thoroughly watered before we plant them in. Okay, back down the stairs, back over to the patio. We're gonna get the tree planted first. The same as it did the day I put it in there. That's crazy. Okay, the Hinoki Cypress is all planted up and I think that it looks fantastic there. It's nice and narrow, just fits in that little spot perfectly, and it's a little bit taller than the spruce was also. I think that's better because this ceiling is actually really quite high here. And so it's probably at least, I don't know, 2 times, if not maybe even 3 times taller than the pot that it's in, which I think scale wise looks really nice too. Of course, I love the color. I love how it's a richer green, and just the habit. I'm so happy with it. I don't think I would enjoy it as much as if it was the habit it's supposed to be, being a little bit wider and shorter. I'm really happy that they, pruned it like they did. So I wanted to show you guys too the tag. I found it within the tree. This is the tag that came with it, and it's always fun for me when I get plants from Bazan Nursery because I actually used to work for them. I was a secretary there back when I first got married, so years and years ago. But anyway, here's the tag for this one: sun to partial shade, 5 feet tall by 3 feet wide, though I don't know. I think it'll take a little while to get there, but it does say that it can, that it's rather drought, and it does say that it is rather drought. And it does say that it is rather drought tolerant too, once it gets established. So, and you saw I did rough up the roots better on this one than were on the spruce that I took out. That thing just popped right out and looked exactly the same as it did when I planted it in, which is unfortunate because I feel like I definitely doomed that thing to its destiny of not being happy in this container. I don't know why I didn't rough up the roots more. I don't know why it didn't root out more. The soil when I pulled it out was actually nice and moist. So I don't think that I've been underwatering it. I don't know, but it hadn't been in the pot for too long, just since this past winter. So who knows? But anyway, I'm glad to have that out. And I actually did, as you saw, plant it into the ground. So let's go look over there where I've got that in, and then we'll head up to the front porch. You can see it right there. It's a little bit harder to see, I guess, just because it's kind of dark back there. It also looks like it's maybe a little bit crooked. I need to maybe go try to straighten that out a little bit more. But I had several different things in that spot, and none of them have thrived. So we'll see. Hopefully this guy will be okay there. I think my husband is actually going to take up some of the limbs that are above it, so that might help make sure that it gets a little bit more water during the winter months and the fall and spring. So I think that will be good. But this one is just a little dwarf. It's not actually even planted into a garden. It's just planted on the edge, the very end kind of this garden right here. I planted the rough looking side backwards, so that's nice. I have just a very, very slow drizzle on the hose going on that right now, just really trying to saturate that spot. It's really heavy clay, so it'll hold on to the moisture, but it's hard to make it moist once it's totally dry. So the thing I like about this too is that there's the conifer there. You can see there's another kind of golden one right there. I have a number of them throughout the garden. There's Leyland cypress and then a gold cypress right back there. There's a fluffy arb back there. So there's just a number of different conifers throughout these gardens, kind of just miniature ones. And obviously we're surrounded by huge conifers. But anyway, I just thought that'd be kind of a nice little punctuation mark right there. And then if I turn around, I have just a little spruce right here in this container, which has been in this container for many, many years, and it's done really well. It's probably completely filling that pot with roots. But anyway, it's just kind of a nice echo right there to the one that we were just looking at. All right, so now we're gonna head back over to the side patio. I'm just gonna show you that little container that I planted up while we were finishing up planting up the conifer. I just had one of the little ornamental kales and one of the pansies left over from when we did the window boxes right here. I just potted them up together in this little terracotta pot. I think I'm going to take it up onto the front porch and put it on the little table that's up there next to the chairs that we sit in. I just thought it was kind of cute. So we'll take this up to the front porch and we will get the vinca planted into the 2 containers. Okay, so the vinca has been soaking in this water for quite a while now, a little over probably an hour. They're nicely hydrated. I watered them from the top and they've obviously been soaking in the bottom, which really helps to totally rehydrate the root ball, especially for a little plant that's been completely dried out. So these should come out really nice and easily. The root balls should be able to squish right down, and it shouldn't be difficult at all for me just to put them right into these holes right here in the planter. got those in, squished them in really, really good. There's no way I would have been able to get those in if I hadn't saturated the root balls, because I really had to, actually had to rip apart one of the root balls and be able to get it in there. And it's a small element, but I do think that it was really needed. I think that it really just adds what was missing there on the center of the containers, and I'm really happy to have those in there. Hopefully we'll see more blooms. See how sweet that is? This purple periwinkle-ish looks really, really pretty with the lamium blooms on there. And I think as of right now, those are the only two things that have any sort of bloom. This one had a little bit of a white bloom on it. Maybe this one. Oh yeah, this one has a little bit of a white bloom, but otherwise it is all just foliage. So that would be sweet if we got some more flowers on this one. But even if we don't, I still really like just having the trailing of the green there, of that evergreen of the vinca. So happy with that addition into these containers. I don't know if you can tell, but it's now raining. So it is a good time to finish up with this project and my time in the garden outside. It always feels good to get out here, even just for a little bit, in between little bits of rain, in between school lessons, in between whatever we're doing in the house. It feels really good to get out here this time of the year just to get little projects done, making areas look a little bit neater, especially areas like our porch and our patio, and areas that we spend time in the fall when the weather isn't as nice as it is in the summer. So I'm happy to have the conifer replaced. I'm happy to have the spruce in the ground too. Well, I think I feel good about that. So, and then also just these little additions of the little plantings here on the front porch. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with me while I did these little projects. I hope you enjoyed them, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.